Hey everyone, Sir Jellybean here, and we have a brand new game, Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks. Yes, do you want to join the military industrial complex? Do you want to sell weapons of war so people can kill each other in mass while you make a profit? This is the game for you. Now, I got sent this recently for free. I'll just establish that earlier, but it's been quite a blast. I put a few hours into it. It's quite a bare bones game. It's still early access, but a lot of potential. So I just wanted to kind of show everyone what you can do and what is available in the game. So what is it? You basically design and sell tanks. Simple enough. But there's a very kind of niche to it. So we're just going to kind of walk you through various stages of the games, various different elements, and show off what is kind of cool and what I like, and also some of the issues. So here we have the factory, kind of your main factory. This is the main part of the game. This is where you upgrade your buildings. As you see, you have production hall. That's where you build stuff. Warehouse, where you store your tanks. Design bureau, where you literally design the tanks. Engineering, where you can literally change certain components, do modifications. Research, obviously do your research. Administration, managing staff and such. Proving grounds, where you can kind of work out bugs of tanks, and test drive, where you can drive the tanks yourself and you get a little bit of a bonus. So let's start with, basically, you can click on all these buildings and do various upgrades. So I've got retooling line. As you can see, it will give a bonus to the production of new tank models and things like sub-assembly lines. So you can actually tailor the buildings to what's best for you. So if you were using, I don't know, something with riveted hulls, you might go for a riveting hull, which will give a bonus to riveting machinery. So it depends on what tanks you're building and what kind of upgrades you need. Next, we have things like the warehouse. As you can see here, you can do all the upgrades the same. If you need more tanks to be able to stockpile and stuff like that, it's very useful. At the moment, you can stockpile about 50 tanks, but you can upgrade that to have like another 50 so you can stockpile 100. You also have the same for design, engineering, research. They all have various things. So, for instance, breakthrough, which gives you a 5% chance of basically completing the research instantly. So there's a lot of customization when it comes to the factories and the various things they can do, which is really cool. Next, I'm going to show you the world map. The world map. This will basically show you the various countries. You can zoom in. And at the moment, you only really get interaction with Great Britain. As you can see, you can level up to get more skills, more rewards. You can lobby certain contracts. You can even buy trophies, so you can reverse engineering tanks. We'll go over that later. And basically, there's lots of like kind of little niche things: internal politics, economy, the tanks, what they're using. My tanks actually to be created. The Mark 1 Basic and the Mark 2 Shredder are both mine, which is kind of cool. And it will kind of go into detail, but obviously at the moment it's early access, so you don't get too much interaction from the other nations, but eventually you will, which would be great. Next, we're just going to jump on the administration. As you can see here, you can get a bank loan, you can hire more workers, and workers obviously build the tanks, and things like engineers do your research, you design the tanks, you reverse engineering, stuff like that. Next, research, very simple. You have your research, you research things, so you unlock them, and you can build more stuff for better tanks. Then we have engineering. As you can see here, you can actually go into individual parts of certain things and upgrade to various things. So certain things might seem better, but it depends what kind of tank you want to build and what kind of parts you want in it. So you can kind of customize individual parts, which can be useful for if you want to make a specific design. At the moment, I found that's not too useful. Still early access, like I said, but in the later run, when they flesh it out more, I think it could be quite cool. Next, we have reverse engineering. This is one of the funniest things. So as you can see here, this is a German, I think it's they called the A7 originally, but there's a beast, and we have the Saint Chamond, which is a French tank. And basically, the Brits have captured the French tank, so they must have gone to war with them. It's an alternative World War One, I guess. But you can actually reverse engineer certain parts of this thing, because at the moment you've only got the British designs available to you. Like I said, early access. So the fact that you can reverse engineer these things, so you can basically then make the Saint Chamond, you can use the hull, you can use the gun, so you can basically build other nations' tanks by purchasing them off of Great Britain at the moment and reverse engineering, which is really cool. And obviously, the Saint Chamond is an absolute beast. If you've seen All Quiet on the Western Front, this thing is a mammoth. Even though it was a bit front heavy, you used to get stuck in the trenches quite a bit. Next, we have design. This is where you actually design your tanks. So, for instance, my tanks are the Mark 1 Basic so far and the Mark 2 Shredder. As you can see, has a cannon, has a thing. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you what it's like to design. So, we're actually going to do a German tank because I haven't tried one. This is the A7 series. So if we were to click that, you click it, you get your base hull, your thing, and then you can move on to the engine. You go, right, I'm going to have a twin cylinder, for instance. You can go on your track, so you can have a Hornet Mark 1 running gear, or you can go for Whippet. Well, we'll go for the Hornet, that would probably be the best for it. It's low standard running gear, but it's quite big. As you can see, that's not the original A7 design. We've literally banged the tracks on it. The original A7 had tracks underneath it, more akin to that, so this is a completely kind of off-history design. Next, you can go for, do you want central cab? Do you want armoured cover? Well, we're going to go for a central cab to give it some vision. Then you can go on guns. The main gun, what do you want? Do you want a main cannon? So we're going to have a quarter pounder, not quarter pounder, 6-pounder on it. And then you can, for instance, add machine guns on the side. The best one would probably be the It's saying the best one is the German MG08. So we're just going to bang some German MG08s on that, as you can see here. And there's a lot of machine guns can be placed on this. It's actually a bit ridiculous. Didn't even realise how many you could place. And then you get to your crew. Obviously, this thing has a crew of, don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can basically have as many as you so wish. You don't have to fully crew it. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to put in a driver. Then we move on. We need a commander. So those, as you can see, those things are what they need to be filled. So it's good for the stats. We're going to go for gunners. So we're going to need a lot of gunners. There we go. Gunners filled. We need a loader. That's quite easy for the loader because we only have one kind of heavy weapon. And then we need a mechanic. And as you can see, we're actually fully staffed up. Now we could, crew performance is quite cramped. You could actually go higher on the gunners and give them more gunners, give them extra crew if need be. But that can cause issues down the line. So right now we're just going to keep it at that. Then you've got expendables, so you can add the different kinds of ammunition. I'm going to go for armor piercing, but I'm also going to add HE. Why not? Then MG wise, I'm going to put tracer ammo and armor piercing ammo. I don't know if it actually benefits you putting both in, but I think having both can be useful. And then we're going to add petrol. We have some upgraded petrol, gives it a bit more speed. And then you can choose what colour to paint it. As you can see, I'm going to give it a bit of a nice, kind of like a Hungarian camera that reminds me of something. That looks pretty badass, I think. So once you've done that, that was pretty simple. You can, obviously you can see there's issues here. You have to iron them out later, and we'll show that. And we're just going to put a sign. Oh, due to exceeded limit values, design is deemed inadequate. It may have gone over the weight. Yes, it's gone over the weight. Okay. What we'll do is we'll drop off some of the MGs here. Which one was that? If we get rid of that, and then if we get rid of that one, we'll drop off a few of the MGs. So we want one side MG on it. This didn't go too well. No, well, that's good. We did. And then we'll chuck them on there, and then we could actually drop a few of the crew now. Oh, it's being strange. Well, that's not on selected crew. Okay. Please fill all sockets for components. Oh right, we'll have to put coverings on them. If we're not using them, we've got to cover them. Then crew-wise, we don't need as many gunners now, so we can drop them. That saves a bit of weight. We're still overweight though by quite a bit. I'm trying to think where we can actually save the weight on this. We may have to. Oh no, can't. It does allow us to carry more. Maybe if we drop the central cab. Yeah, that helps. The front gun should be a Hotchkiss. Maybe a 3-pounder. No, it's still too heavy. Armoured gun cover. No, it's still too heavy. Okay. We're just trying to save weight here. As you can see, there is a bit of a niche to the design of the tanks. We could go for a smaller engine. No, they're still heavy. Still very heavy. So that's, put it this way, I'm just trying to show off the design. This is not a correct design because it is over its mass limit, I think, or it was too heavy. It might be able to work now. Will that work? Make sure your tank's at least one expendable per thing. Okay, we'll try it now. Now we've exceeded the weight limit, basically, because that is the mass limit. Probably because this tank would not actually fit. We'd probably have to do a bit of customization, but you can kind of see the design element of the tank, and obviously you can make some crazy stuff. Honestly, I think we need to change this a bit so like you can be a bit more crazy and wild with your tanks, but still it shows off the basics. Next we'll look at production after that long design bit, and here's obviously where you put your tanks into production. It costs money and resources. Obviously resources are up here. You have to order them in as well, so you need to have enough money and resources to produce the tanks before you sell them. Obviously makes sense, and then your workers build them. It takes so many days. So obviously here, if you were to trying to build some whippets, it would tell you how much resource and cost it takes, and it would tell you how long it takes days wise at the bottom of the screen to build. So quite simple there. Resource storage, this is obviously where you order resources. Different nations offer different prices, but there's also reliability. So certain nations are cheaper, but the resources may take longer. So if you're really waiting on an order of iron, medium carbon steel, sometimes it's better to pay a bit more and get the items in your factories so you can build more tanks. Otherwise you might miss a deadline on a contract. Tank storage speaks for itself. This is where your tanks are stored. Proving grounds, this is where you actually pay to test certain tanks. And then there's test drive here. You can test drive various tanks. I'm just going to quickly show you the shredder. I've already tested this. Now this is actually quite useful because if you test drive a tank, you obviously get certain benefits to that tank. So as you can see here, you can bring the tank out, you can fire the gun, weapon, machine gun, the way through. You can do quite a lot of stuff. As you can see, you can basically whip the tank around the proving grounds and the testing grounds and just have a bit of fun with it as well, if you so wish. It's fairly simple. Obviously, it looks pretty cool as well. I think the graphics are quite nice. Obviously, it's still pretty basic, but it is fun. So I'm just showing that off there quickly. And then after all that kind of stuff, you do have things like HQ reports will tell you if your tanks have been used in the battle and how the troops found them. This is obviously debatable because sometimes they'll say your tank is awful, but they're attacking like 10,000 men with artillery, so 20 tanks wasn't going to win. You do have rivals, that doesn't seem to do anything so far. You have contract center where you get your contracts. So for instance, a contract to restock certain tanks that they've used. I don't have any of those tanks at the moment, but you can build them. You can choose how much you sell them for. You can choose how many you send. I mean, you can choose what date they get there. And basically, you need to hit the score to do it. You can buy insights. So my opponent's max score is 254. So if I definitely want to get the contract, I want to make sure that I get the score to 254. So for instance, there would do that, you see. If I put the shredder in, which is far better, as you can see, my score is really higher. I can ask a lot more money, and I can make a lot more money out of them, which is obviously the name of the game. So there is a bit of a variation in the contracts, but that still needs to be expanded in my opinion. But still, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Then we have just things like news. It will tell you about battles, various things going on in the world. Obviously, it's an alternative World War I, so everything goes a bit differently to real life. There's your achievements, and obviously, at the top of the screen, it'll tell you about your administrators, your engineers, your workers, how many tanks are stored, all the various resources. Obviously, have your speed up buttons, your date, all that basic stuff. But yeah, it is a fun game. Now, issues with it, obviously, it's early access, so it's not fully fleshed out. I feel like, obviously, you can only really sell to the Brits. You're quite bottlenecked. Obviously, we saw in the tank designer, it's still quite limited. I think there's a lot more they can expand on it. But the base game is solid. I enjoy the base game. I've put like 3 or 4 hours so far, but that went pretty quick. But like say, if you spent 10 hours on the game, you'd probably be burnt out and be like, right, I've done that. There's not much more to do. So I feel like if they get more done on it, it's definitely worth buying, like for what the price is. I think it's about £25. But whether they get there, obviously we don't know. It's early access. Hopefully they will. But if it does get further down the line, I will 100% do a series on it. I'd love to do like a long form series on it, making tanks and trying to sell from We Are Jelly Beans Arms Co, which is quite funny. So yeah, it'd be great if they expand the game more. We'll do a series on it. But for now, just keep your eyes on it. If you do like these kind of management games and these kind of designing games, obviously basically being military industrial complex, it is a game for you. I would just say, like I say, go in with an open mind and remember you're going to get more gameplay as the game comes out and as it gets further down the line. But as of now, it seems like it's making decent progress. But it's whether you're willing to wait. If not, wait a few months, wait till it's in full release, or maybe it might be a year, and then buy it then. Anyway, I hope you found this little kind of tour around Arms Trade Tycoon useful. Might do a series in future. I'm going to have a bit more of a play around with it myself. Thanks for watching, everyone, and you guys have a fantastic day.